Clean them out. Down and quiet.
Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, whatever time it is when you're watching this or watching this played back in the future. Welcome to Season 2, Episode 8 of the RCRC podcast. We have a special guest this evening, Jose Zayas, the man, the myth, the legend, from TLR. And I'll let him give him his whole spiel of all of his sponsors and his company, and we'll get into all that in a minute. But thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Congrats on ONS. You're did well down there, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah. So, how was your guys' weekend?
It was good.
Great time.
Yeah, we got a break from the weather, so it was good, right? It was relaxing. I didn't race, so I got to relax a little bit and went to watch a Nationals game. So that's always fun. The weather was fantastic. And we got a big week coming up, which we'll be talking about, trying to ship out some new exciting stuff. But it was a nice, relaxing weekend.
Go ahead.
And I was saying, I headed up to Richmond. I raced parking lot, Hobbytown, had a good old time. Took in the touring car main went great. Finished that one, put myself on the podium. But then they do a spec class up there, and unfortunately, right as I put myself, I think I had just taken over for second place, and the front end of my body just gave out. It just pushed in, and and then NASCAR on the warm up laps, my motor shaft just snapped off in the warm up laps. So touring car is the only thing I got to finish.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I was living one of my 9 other hobbies. I was doing music all weekend, so staying busy and played a little guitar, sang a little bit, did some stuff there. So busy all weekend. So, but so why don't we jump right into? I like to hear how you got into RC and kind of give us a backstory and tell us about your Grasshopper or whatever your first RTR kit was.
Yeah. No, listen, thanks for having me. Excited to talk to you guys. I'll be brief because I got my first RC car in '86. That was a little while ago. It wasn't a Grasshopper, but it was almost everyone has had one to my Blackfoot. So that was my first foray into RC car. And it was a lot of fun, of course. At that time, it was all about just running it and bashing it and charging it as quickly as I can and just getting back out there, right? I mean, I think that's part of everybody's. Then I kind of just, I got a little car, a little here and there. I moved to the States in '92. And that's when I got my first racing car. It was an Associated 10T. And I love that truck. So I got the racing bug and been racing ever since. I can continue as much as you like here, but I'll continue to be brief. So I started racing, and then I really decided that this is fun. Let me try to compete. Got to travel a little bit, got to know a little bit, got a very check of reality when you see the talent, like we all do when we go to races, right? And just like everything in life, I realized that if I want to do this, I got to put in the work. So, I just kind of committed to a brand, which was Losi, which most people know me for. Of course, now TLR. And been driving TLR cars, Losi cars back then since '96. And, then I grinded, practiced, went to a lot of races, exposure, flew, whatever needed to be done to be seen. And I became a driver for Team Losi in the late 90s. I want to say 98, and raced competitively through '04. Right before I was very fortunate to be able to go to the Worlds in '03 and represent USA and Losi. That was in Florida in the '03 Worlds. And then a new chapter in life, had a daughter in '04 and put a little bit of a pause button, and came back in 13 after I moved here to Virginia. So in 13, and then I started racing and was fortunate to get picked up again by TLR. They were kind enough to give me a little bit of a help. I've been racing since. And now, of course, I'm full bore racing again. Not as much as I used to. Listen, we're all older. We don't get to travel. We got real jobs. But yeah, I race for TLR and many companies, and I'm sure we'll chat about that. And of course, big part of the vintage movement since it really started in earnest 2 years ago. So that's been fun to see that growth. And it's been quite a story. It's been fun.
So how old were you when you? Oh, sorry.
Let's say '03 Worlds. That was Cav's first win, wasn't it?
No, that was Billy Easton in Minring.
Okay, I know Cav was early 2000s. I just can't remember exactly what year.
Yeah, so Matt won it in '02. There was a funky year because of the World Trade Centers. So it should have been '01, '03, and then the '01 Worlds were in '02. That was Africa, South Africa to be specific. And, Matt and a few others, I can't remember. I should know who won. I think Matt won 2-wheel and Yuka won 4-wheel. Don't quote me. I think Cav won the one before. I should have a little bit. Then after that, I quit. Or took a sabbatical, right? So it was a little bit of a pause for me. But yeah, he definitely won it in there.
Yep.
So how old were you when you raced? When you started racing the 10T?
So it would have been 92. So 15. That's when I moved to the States.
Yeah. So you were I guess we're about the same age. I just turned 50. I graduated in 94.
Teenager, Tiny. I am 49.6.
Okay. All right.
I am a full-blown teenager right now for the next 6 months.
So we must you started just after me. I was racing when the 10T came out.
Okay.
So I raced my very first car was a Gold Pan RC10.
Okay.
And it was used, and it came with the servo sweeper ESC.
Oh yeah. Mechanical speed control. Of course,
yeah. So mechanical speed control, and then I got the super high end hopped up orange Novak.
And probably the T4, which is probably the one that was my first electronic speed controller as well.
Yeah. So, and I worked in Oklahoma City. We raced at a place called RCRC. This is our podcast name is a throwback to my original track. And I was right there in the middle of Oklahoma City on
I've been to
I-40.
RCRC, by the way, because I was out of New Mexico racing in the 90s.
Okay. Yeah. So RCRC, we had a oval and then it had off-road in the middle. So we raced off-road. You raced part of the oval, kind of like a road course, like at Daytona.
Yep.
And then, so I raced that Gold Pan. I converted that to a sprint car, and I raced oval. All my buddies ran off-road, but I ran a flat. I don't even think it was carbon fiber back then. It was fiberglass chassis, all flat. There was no,
kick up.
No kick up. Yeah. So yeah, it was a completely different animal back then. But, and I didn't have really money. It was just me, my parents were divorced and I didn't have the money to race RC, but I had some really well-to-do friends that I got a lot of hand-me-downs from. And I had a buddy named Hywell that his dad owned a computer store. And before Best Buy, that kind of deal where it was like all a bunch of individual owned computer stores. And he sponsored a couple of the fast guys that were from Oklahoma City area. And we went to Nationals in the 90s in Texas off-road nationals, and these guys went down there to race, and Highwell raced, but he wasn't we were all just kind of new into it, but he had the money, so he could race. But yeah, that was crazy to go to a nationals way back when, indoor. Awesome. Yeah. So, but I worked for this was back in the day. So I worked for a battery company in Oklahoma City, and after high school, I would get out of high school, I would go down there, and it was just me in this room, and it was a wall of cell tester balancer machines.
The Turbo 30s, the mattress.
Yeah, the mattress. And I would basically, this guy had just a whole wall of them, and I would load them up, and I'd hit the go button, and it would cycle them, and it would charge, discharge, and then they were all hooked to a printer, and it would shoot out this row of stickers. Yeah. And I would put all the stickers on, and then we had these bins. So we would balance them down to like the 10th or whatever. They were basically, I would sort them into their balance, and then we would build balance packs. Either I would send them out just into where you build your own, or we would solder them together.
Which was the company?
I honestly couldn't tell you. It was in Oklahoma City. It was right down the street from RCRC, right down in downtown. But
yeah, there were a lot of companies that were coming up, and it was pretty easy, right? I mean, it was expensive, but you only had one major importer, that was Trinity, right? And then they would sell all the subsidies to all the different individuals who wanted to, have a piece of the action, right? So this was the good old days.
Yeah, this would have been 90. I graduated in 94, so this would have been 92, 90. I was 16, so
yeah, we graduated the same year. So, yeah,
92, so something like that. But yeah,
I graduated in 08.
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
That's why you don't have any gray hair.
Exactly.
Nope.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it was the good old days, and nitro. I don't even know that nitro was a thing back then yet. Maybe it was, but it definitely wasn't like it is today. But Losi, and Traxxas kind of just came out, and that was a thing when Traxxas came out. Yeah. But yeah,
especially in that center corridor, right? Texas, Oklahoma, Traxxas, close to Traxxas headquarters. They they took a stab at the racing scene with, for a little bit.
Briefly. Briefly.
The TRX line or whatever it was.
TRX, and then the SRT, I think, was a truck. And it was,
I remember, this is something Chris probably never did, but we would have to get crystals for our radios.
Oh, yeah.
And you had to have like multiple crystals, because if somebody already had your frequency and they got the clip before you, it was basically a piece of wood with a number on it, and it had the
frequency, the number.
Yeah, but it had a wooden clothespin. Yeah, and you hooked it on your radio, and if you didn't get the number first, you had to go change your crystal and change it in your receiver. And
well, I got to tell you, and you probably noticed this, and for sure, Chris doesn't know this, but once I was good enough and had a radio sponsor, we had funnies. So those funnies were a unique frequency for us as a driver. So that's why some of us were never.
Okay.
So this is here you go. Here. I will pull.
And I remember getting frustrated or whatever, and you slam your thing down and bend it. You had to get antenna.
This is Snowbirds years ago. They used to had a whole hotel room for Radio Impound.
For sure.
Oh, nice.
For sure.
Yeah. Yep. Back in the good old days. And then I took a hiatus from, the 90s. I only raced for probably a year. And the funny thing was
when you came back, remember you bought that used Truggy. You and I were talking.
That was the second race or first. That was my first race, I think, actually.
Yeah. I remember that.
Backyard Nats, or one of the races there.
No, it would have been after the backyard. Yeah, I think it was at the Backyard Nats when I first.
It was Powerline, I know for sure. Yeah, because I didn't know where any tracks were. I mean, I bought it at Adrenaline, but I was trying to find tracks, and I went to the I went to the Hobby Town in Fredericksburg, and if you go in the bathroom, there is all these massive posters from previous years of Backyard Nats, because they're a big sponsor of Backyard Nats. So they have these posters, the flyers printed out. And so I was like, oh man, this place must be epic. Like, this must be like this massive place. And I was like, nope, it's literally in a dude's backyard.
Yeah.
And but yeah, that's how I found out about it. And I thought it was like some exclusive club, like you couldn't get in or anything. So
the Hobby Town in Yorktown has a bunch of Mike's old trophies from years he raced Backyard Nats.
Oh yeah, that's where I met Mike, and bunch of guys I still hang out with now is there at the old PLRC. So
that's funny.
Yeah, but and I was like, oh man, I met this guy. His name is Jose. Yeah, he's like sponsored. He's been doing it like 150 years, and he was like so helpful. And and then I had to have a Cow RC blower because you had one, and you know.
That's right.
So
that's right.
Yeah,
a little bit of a deja vu. Everything besides the 150 was appreciated, but yeah. Yeah.
Well, now that I know that you're younger than me, I can, throw all the digs I can,
Yeah. Just be careful.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, man, I'm holding on to 6 more months, or now 5 more months. Gosh darn it. But anyway.
5 more months, I'll be 51. So you're like a whole year younger than me. Yeah.
You're in a whole different decade.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm 76. January of 76. So
in December 76.
Okay. Yeah. So, but yeah, that was a lot of fun, and you were super helpful, and he's probably like, this guy, man, he just will not stop asking.
Listen, everybody has to start somewhere, right? That's what I tell people.
Yeah.
Everybody's got to start somewhere. You're going to have to pick, a place to start the journey and just kind of get on it, right? And do whatever you can to reach whatever goal you think is you want to reach, and just keep moving forward.
I'm still trying to figure out how you keep your cars so clean, because I was like, man, these cars are like brand new. He must have built new cars for this weekend. And then it's like, we're done racing. I'm like, man, it's still clean. Like, what is he doing over there? I can never keep my cars that clean.
My nitro buggy
one thing
from Lynchburg.
Yeah, and it was brutal coming out of ONS because it rained a lot and we dealt with a lot of things. But I got to tell you, since 92, which is when I got my 10T, I never play with my cars, right? I never go out to go, hey, let's go play with them. I'm like, nope, I just race. They go to the track, practice, clean, go to track, race, clean, and that's it.
I do all that same stuff. I just don't do the cleaning in the middle. I just race and race and race and race and race, and then build a new car and then race and race.
No. These bad boys.
I'm getting better.
These bad boys get cleaned often, just because I'm, like all of us, we all get busy with our own things. I just don't have that much time, so I don't want to be at an event dealing with an issue that I could have addressed back home. Right.
Yeah, I'm getting better, but I do have the track at the house, so that sucks up a lot of time.
Which is very nice, by the way. Maybe we could talk about it, because I've only been there once, and I was very, very impressed with the effort and the commitment and the investments that you've made. It's phenomenal.
Well, I appreciate it.
Need to host an outdoor 10 scale race sometime next year.
Yeah, no, I'm game. I have
bring Jose down.
Yes, I only got to go there once, and I ran 3 or 4 packs there just to kind of do what I was just saying, which is just get ready for ONS, not from a laps, but more from a make sure everything's working out. I showed up to ONS with a couple new cars, so I needed to make sure that everything was working. Yeah.
Did you run the gas truck here?
I ran the gas truck 1 tank at your place. Yeah.
Okay. That's the driving motivating factor for 10 scale here is we got some guys around that want to do gas truck, and so they're like,
yeah. We should definitely talk about it, and if I can help, as I told you then, let me know.
Yeah, we'll definitely chat about that.
I want to do gas truck. I want a reason to build one.
Well, I have to build one too, but I do. I also love mini truggy. I have a Techno mini truggy that is just the most fun thing in the world.
You see, I converted a TLR. I made it myself, a conversion for it. So.
Okay, nice.
Oh wow.
A
Do that.
22X?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, nice. That's what I need to do with my 22X. I need to send it to Jose and let him,
Yeah, I may be working on a project. We'll see if we can talk.
I've got a project for you. Then it's sitting on the shelf. I thought I sold it, and I was in there looking for something the other day, and I was like, zip, and I was like, oh, there's my Losi. So, yeah, I have too many cars.
Yeah, me too. I have 5 gas trucks that I.
Oh, wow.
We can talk gas trucks. So anyway.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. So how much difference is there? I mean, is there any, other than the motor's different, but is it a different igniter or anything? Like if you run nitro, you can run the same.
Yeah. So, I think things are a little bit different in today's world because gas truck, in essence, disappeared, and it's trying to make a small re-emergence back. So the engine's a 12 instead of a 21.
Mm-hmm.
You never have a 21 with a rotary carburetor, right? It's so most gas trucks back then like rotary because it's a little bit of more of a linear feel than your traditional carburetor that you're used to. So that's a subtle difference there, very subtle. The flywheel is traverse, so your traditional starter box usually do not use the same starter box because it's traverse. So in your gas truck, your flywheel is running in line with the chassis versus perpendicular to the chassis, right?
So how does your differential work? Like you have a
gearbox just like an RC car. Yeah.
It's got a gearbox similar to a 2-wheel drive buggy, but it just it's got a brake on what would be a slipper clutch.
Yeah, the caliper is usually tied somewhat to either the top or the middle shaft, depending on the vehicle. So 12 engine size. Back in the day, it's harder to find. We would run 20% nitro instead of 30. The engines tend to get a little finicky with high percentages of nitrous. So 20%. There's a few companies that still make it, which is what I ran for ONS. I hadn't run gas trucks since 04, but I busted it out for the ONS series. That's really about it. Everything else is fairly similar. Your carburetors are going to have 2 needle settings, not 3, depending on your engine, right? But
just high and low, no mid speed.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, the mid speed even in 21s is a modern-ish thing, right? I mean, I don't know. People that are more savvier with 21s, would know precisely, but I'm assuming that's kind of like early mid 2000s, 05, 06, I would assume is when they started showing up. And
and it's only a hot debate of whether you even touch the mid speed or not. Exactly.
So it's really something that you pretty much leave pretty much set, right? So
yeah.
But yeah, the rest is pretty straightforward. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. And of course 2-wheel drive, right? I mean, that's
So are you a proponent of the 2-wheel drive makes you better?
I do. It is intrinsically harder to drive, right? Just and fundamentally a different style of driving, right? Mm-hmm. So it really creates what I would call the throttle finger develops it better, right? Mm-hmm. You even see it in A scale, right? Some people can drive truggy really, really well and struggle even with an A scale. They're both 4-wheel drive and everything, but you just have that much contact. Right, you have that much contact of your tires, that much heavier vehicle, goes through things a lot easier. So if you don't have, I'm not talking about you guys, but if you don't have your throttle finger as developed, you can get away with a lot more in a truggy than you can in a buggy. And then you can keep on going. You can get away with a lot more on a stadium truck than you can on a 2-wheel drive buggy, right? Mm-hmm. And 2-wheel drive buggy is probably, I would say, maybe even definitively the hardest class to drive. It happens to be probably my second favorite. I like it a lot. But yeah, in general, they're the lightest cars. They're the most smaller tires, right? There's a lot of, they feel everything. So it's, if you don't have a good throttle finger, you're going to struggle right? You're going to struggle a lot. So,
is that the most setup sensitive, you think?
Yeah. Well, no. I mean, I think the answer is yes, with a very big asterisk, right? You can get away with a modestly set up 4-wheel drive car and get it around the track because you have, 4-wheel traction, 4-wheel braking, right? So you can get away with a car that oversteers or understeers quite a bit easier. Where in a 2-wheel drive, if you have an oversteering car, the only way to survive it is almost to kill your brakes. And then if you kill your brakes, you're blowing all your corners and blah, 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 right? You can kind of go on that way, right? So it is, I think both cars, this is my asterisk, I think both cars feel a setup change equally, right? If you're making a roll center, if you're making other changes, if you know what you're doing, the car should respond to that change, symbolic to the kind of change that you're making, right? I.e., shock oil versus a 1 millimeter washer on your roll center is going to feel different, right? Or the magnitude of the impact is going to feel different. But I think that it's really difficult to drive a poorly set up 2-wheel drive car, right? Mm-hmm. Or it could be a perfectly set up car with the wrong tires, right? I mean, so you can get away with the wrong tire in 4-wheel drive. You won't be as fast as the people who made the fast, but you won't be 2 to 3 laps down. In 2-wheel drive, you show up with the wrong tire, you may be 2 or 3 laps down, right? So
that's one thing that drove me nuts. Coming up racing on carpet, you get 1-2 good heats out of a set of tires, then you're dropping another $45-$50 on another set of tires, and I got to the point where I didn't want to do it anymore. That's one of the main reasons that pushed me to A scale is I bought my tires for the year last year. I think I bought like 8 sets, and I'm still working on those tires because I went with a slightly harder compound. They did just fine, but they lasted longer. But yeah, carpet tires, I was just throwing money away.
Yeah, it just depends. I mean, your point's well taken, right? I mean, it's like, yeah, you can get away tires depending on the compound. You can definitely get longer, more value, if you want to call it that, for the tire. But I think it depends on the event that you're going to. Like if you're going to the Nationals, and you want to like compete at the highest level that you can compete, right? Not like that, you're going to be, Mayfield or anybody like that. But if you're the highest up, you probably what I used to do back then and still do somewhat now is you take a really enormous amount of tires and you just run them once, but they're not wasted because you can bring them back home for practice or whatever like that, right? So your strategy around tire usage is different. But if you want to have the highest performance possible, you're going to run newer ones. Some tracks like 1-run tires better when that edge is gone. But my point is, you're gonna go out there with the peak performing tire, right? And then you come home with a lot of tires, and so forth. So it's different strategy.
When we did carpet nets here in Hampton Roads, it was very nice because I pitted with Cav and Brock at the end of the weekend. I came out with a bucket full of 1-run tires from them.
Yeah. But that's exactly what they were doing, right? They knew that when you're fighting for the small decimal places, you're going to go out there with a new tire every time.
So,
which is cost prohibitive to a lot of people, right? Too, as well, right?
So at a big event, say we just finished Wicked, how many, without saying anybody in particular, but an average pro, how many sets of tires per chassis do you think they go through in a weekend of Wicked? Assuming that you weren't trying a bunch of different stuff to get it. I mean, I'm assuming they had a pretty good idea of what tires they were going to run.
Yeah. So it's hard for me to know Wicked because I don't know how hard it was on tires. But I'll give you my guess, and then I'll tell you about the O&S story because I think that's where you're going to maybe fall off your chair a little bit. So. It looked like, at least I run for J Concepts. I think that the Reflex is kind of their go-to tire, and then some people may try one here and there, right? It has an awning, so you don't have to deal a lot, although it does impact when it's raining outside. You don't have to deal a lot with really big swings and moisture content on the track, right? So I'm assuming you guys stayed on greens and because the track blew up so much. Maybe some people tried blues, which is the next compound heavier, right? Harder. But, you know, I would assume, I think you guys ran 3 qualifiers, if I remember correctly.
I didn't go this year, but it did look like it grooved up really early in the weekend. I mean, there was a dark groove.
Yeah, and I think the strategy also differs if you're running nitro versus electric, because a 10-minute main and a 30-minute main is very different. Right?
Sure.
So, you know, my assumption is that in Truggy, you can tend to get away with more than one run out of the tire, just because the tire has so much contact surface, so it's not going to lose that edge as much. So I'm assuming some of the pro drivers, depending on who they were, they may, and if, let's say they knew exactly what tire they're going to run, like I'm going to stick to this tire. Some of them probably, at their 5-minute qualifiers, probably could do all 3 qualifiers with one set. And that's
reasonable for still staying on the good side of.
Listen, there's a lot. This is such a complicated. It depends if the track's not changing, right? Or if assuming that they're going to run the same tire, and assuming from what I can tell, I wasn't there, that there was modest tire wear. I think in Truggy you could get away for sure with 2 sets for qualifying, maybe 1. And some people might have done 2. Where you run 2, then you break in, especially if you know that you know you want to get that edge, then you use your 3rd qualifier to break in that set for the main. You know, those are all parts of the strategy. In a 30-minute main, if the track was abrasive, I was looking at some of the cars coming off the main. They didn't look like they were already fully bald. So my assumption is that they either ran a heavier tire compound, right, a harder compound, or something else. But it's kind of hard to tell with me not being there. Now, where they probably went through a lot of different tires is in the practice, right? That's when you're trying, you know, a good number. Everybody will start on a reflex in the context of J concepts, right? And then eventually you may even venture to a relapse, or you may venture in another different direction, like a Falcon or something else, just to figure out if you can get a little bit of an advantage by a particular one. And then, you know, we haven't even talked about it, but a tire that works for you may not work for me, right? So you may be on tire X and I may be on tire Y, and then we'll talk, and then eventually you want to try my tire and I want to try yours. So, you know, there's all kinds of permutations of what can happen. And ONS, just very briefly, what became challenging at ONS is that on both Friday, the way that they're structured is that Friday is qualifying, and then Saturday is the mains.
Right.
And there's only 1 day of practice because the track is virgin when we all show up on Thursday, which I kind of like. But on Thursday, we had a 6-hour delay practice because of enormous amount of rain. And by the way, that crew, I have been to a lot of races. I do not know how they pulled off what they did. I think being in Florida helps because there's it's a high sand content. So, yeoman's effort. So what we were certainly running before rain to after rain, I mean, you couldn't have been more opposite in terms of what you ran. But what made it complicated is when the track was soft, we were running open cell foam inside the tires. Then we had closed cell. I had probably 2 or 3 different versions of closed cell, with holes, without holes, with V cuts or whatever. So I don't know. And I ran 5 classes.
Oh, wow.
Holy crap.
So if I glued up, I don't know if I should say this because it'll make people sad. Or I'm going to get them. I at least grew up 50 pairs of something.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Now, and some I didn't use because I show up to the track with probably all the combinations that I think I want to run, because I don't want to be gluing in the track. I don't want to deal with the dust. I don't want to have a blowout because I didn't have a clean bead or anything like that. So I'll show up to practice with every combination that I think I'm going to need.
How many?
So I'm including that in there, by the way. Huh?
What do you think you brought from the house? What do you think you brought glued up? 20 sets?
Oh, yeah. I ran 5 classes.
Yeah.
Easy.
Wow.
Easy. Easy. Yeah. Yeah. It's daunting, right?
Yeah.
And gluing tires is probably the least fun.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, probably 20 sets easy. But I'll run them and I'll give them to somebody to try, and we pit it as TLR. Other people got to use them and try them. So, it isn't just, it's a team effort, because ONS is vintage and modern. So, it's, but that's just part of it.
How often do you think a pro driver is leaving like usable tires at the track for, they give stuff away if they're
Every time they travel, they don't want to take all that on the plane.
I probably left 20 sets there.
Yeah, because I mean, even how much practice do you actually have to do that you could even use all those again?
Yeah, I probably won't run that kind of surface till next calendar year, right? So
Right.
I don't want to keep them here just to keep them and whatever. If they were brand new and I never ran it, because some of the things that I did, I just didn't pan out because of rain or whatever. So I'll bring back everything that's new.
Yeah.
They've lost their edge. You don't want to start your next race practice with non-good tires, because then you don't really know how a good tire behaves, right? So it becomes this, it's a chase, right? It's a chase for performance, right?
Yeah. That's interesting.
Plus,
I really
I'm
never
getting older, man. I need any advantage that I can, so I'm going to go with the best tires I can get.
Yeah. Yeah, I never thought about 10 scale having those different kinds of foams and then, cutting them and poking holes in them and the bands and glue in foams and so much stuff to consider.
But it's the same in any kind of racing, right? I mean, you go to any high level racing, picket motocross, you see people dremeling their tires and making, different patterns. I mean, everybody does it, right? It's always seeking that speed, right? Or in the case that you're a mechanic, seeking to provide your driver whatever he or she needs, right? So that's just part of the process.
Well, I just mean compared to 8 scale, where you're cutting foams and some guys are running bands and stuff like that, but you're at least you only have one, foam type typically.
Yeah, I think that's a fair statement, but I think that, what you do to that foam, do you glue the foam down? Do you put a V cut in it so the foam is flatter, et cetera? I mean, and then you have you got long wear, non-long wear, you got a lot of combinations of compounds.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think, tires, the tire situation is it's complicated.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah,
and we haven't even included the track, right? You go to a race and it rains or it gets baked or you get a big groove on there, that changes everything. If you got a 30-minute main, you're going to go with a harder compound and then struggle for the first 5 minutes. And once heat gets into the tire, then you're back in it, right? So it's just it's all of that.
Well, that's a lot of these long races are. Do you want a fast car at the beginning of the race or do you want a fast car at the end?
That's
because
right.
you a lot of times you have like Worlds last year or last Worlds, it was like, are you going to have a tire at the end of the race? Like,
I mean, some of those tires were fully failing at the end.
Yeah, they were like had sections of foam showing.
Pretty much everybody on JCon had foams coming out of their tires. The Matrix seemed to hold up. Who else was holding up? I think Hot Race was doing okay, but Matrix is really the only tire that really stayed together. But their carcasses are thicker.
Yeah, and that track was interesting in the sense that if you play for the long game, I want to have tire at the end. The way that track was set up, the problem is you may find yourself a lap or two halfway through the race, and then it doesn't matter what you have.
Untenable. Yeah.
It's unachievable, right? So, and it has such a pronounced groove that the difference between a lap time with tread and a bulge wasn't that far apart. So it was, you know what I mean? So it changes the approach that you have to do for that race.
Yeah. That was crazy. That was the first World that I paid that much attention to. And, to see all that, we actually sponsored Lefty. I was one of his low level sponsors. So I was like, I have to watch every time so I can see my logo on on the international stage.
That's awesome.
But but that's that's the interesting part of racing is tires are so, I mean, it's, some say 60, 70, 80%.
I think I've always used 80. I mean, I think that You can have the best car set up in the wrong tires. You can have the worst car set up with the right tires. Lap times are going to be close. So, I think that, a lot of folks come to me and ask for help. And undoubtedly, I think without any hesitation, that's going to be my first ask. What tires are you running?
Right.
And if they're running the wrong tires, and, I really try to say it as politely as I can, I'm not going to help you. Are you running the right spring? Are you running the right oil?
Right.
Because anything I do is not going to fix the wound in your vehicle, from an analogy, right? Which is the tires, right? So I think that, I think people have to get that one as close to right or as close as what they can afford as possible, and then worry about all the hundreds of options that you have in front of you from a setup perspective.
And sometimes you can have the right tires and the right setup and just be at the wrong track. No, I was at
you have the wrong tires.
I was up at Truth, and I could not get my car right. I tried different tires. I mean, I put on a set of tires for the main, whatever. Then I think the very next race was Pro-Am. I went to Pro-Am. I used the tires I was using at Tiny's place. I didn't change the setup. I didn't change anything. I threw the car on the track. The car was perfect. I'm like, I was just in the wrong spot.
Yeah. I mean, every track, even if they're in the same state, what works at Tiny's place versus Pickett, right? Adrenaline or Tilly or whatever. There's gonna be times that the same tire works, and there's gonna be times that they're not for reasons, whatever, moisture, prep, how long the track has been there versus not. It's so many variables.
Oh yeah. Nobody knows that more than a track owner, because there's a lot of difference in my track. I mean, how much water to put down Wednesday and Thursday and Friday, and it'll drastically change. And how long's it been since it's rained? Because the rain definitely change. Like a week of rain, I'll have like a drastically different sand content because it pulls all the sand out. Yep. So if I don't turn it over and re-roll it, it's not even the same track. So.
Yeah.
So.
For sure.
Yeah. So let's swizzle into your new stuff for old stuff, I guess. Why don't you give us
modern vintage?
Yeah. Why don't you give us an overview of your company and what you guys are doing? Some examples and that super awesome, sexy chassis that you showed us earlier.
Yeah. Glad to. No, listen, we just modern vintage is this combination that Dan McDade, who is the owner of Dragon Punch RC, and my small foray into RC business, which is Z3D. We met, and I don't want to belabor the point too much, in Indiana. We kind of hit it off, and we're working, helping each other out on a few bits and pieces. And long story short, we kind of got our brains together and kind of thought about, can we do something seriously and together that really kind of brings our collective capabilities to do something in the vintage space in terms of a kit. We were producing parts, right? So, simplistically, he knew that I have an affinity for Losi. Losi, for a lot of different reasons, and this is even prior. Associated had already started their journey into revitalizing their portfolio. And so we kind of picked the Double X platform, which is from where we started this conversation, was my first Losi car. I think it's a very versatile platform. It runs in the biggest class of all the vintage racing today, right? Which is that two-wheel drive pre-96 class is the biggest one when you go to most, if not all, the events. So we kind of targeted that platform, and we really wanted a few principles that were really, really important for Dan and I. And we'll highlight these as much or as little as you'd like to. One of them is that we really were committed to making everything in the U.S. To us, that was really, really important for personal reasons, to showcase, all these companies associated in Losi back then were all made in the U.S. I think that's something that has been lost for a lot of different reasons, economics being the primary. But We really wanted to do it in the U.S. We really wanted to honor the vehicle and the decisions that were made by that designer. In this case, it was Junior. And the decisions that were made in the vehicle, the trade-offs that they had to do at that time. So our car is, I think the key word we say is a geometric exact carbon copy of the Losi XX. Now it geometric, not in a physical sense, right? So everything is in the same location, from hinge pins to ball studs to all kinds of other things. It is geometrically, physically in the same space, right? So that was really important to us. And then, as the name alludes, how do we modernize it to now be just realistic? The 2026 racing conditions, tires are better, tracks have changed, etc. How do we look at those Achilles heels of the car, weak points, and just in essence reflect on it, modernize it? So the original XX had a few weak areas. The rear end had a 2-part chassis with a T-plate. Usually if that failed, it took away the tranny with it. A lot of things went with it. And in the world of things getting harder, or the experience, somebody goes to a track, you break something, you got to go home. We felt that we have to deal with that as an example. So that's one of the areas that we felt really, really compelled to address. Just as an example, there's so many areas that we wanted to do it. And then the other thing that we wanted to do is how do we then give the racer an ability to tune their rear wheel driven car, which has all the bias to the rear of the car, in a world where you are incentivized to really have different weight biases, more of a center weight bias. So tunability was really kind of a key feature for us. So long story short, we locked arm in arm and we designed a car, and we released our first car in December of 26. That is what we call the XX Square, which is the 2-wheel drive version of the XX. And then in February, we released the XXT Squared, which is the truck version of that car. And yeah, the uptake has been really exciting. I think we're in 11 countries, which has kind of been a lot of fun to see that. Didn't expect that. And we've been very fortunate that people still want them, and we've been selling out, and it's been fun. It's a lot of work, but it's been a lot of fun.
Well, that's cool. Do you have an example you can show us?
Yeah. So I'll show you the truck, which was the one I was just alluding to, with the body. If you were to compare it to a Losi XXT right here, I mean, they look in essence identical. Once you take the top off, she does look better with the top off. So this is my car. My car happens to be blue, just because people that know me, blue is my favorite color. And I know it comes in black. But one of the small perks of being the owner is you can make a blue one. So instead of being a composite chassis, it is a flat carbon chassis. And that gave us the ability to run the battery in the original shape, which is in line. But we can also turn it 90 degrees to run it in a format that is commonly seen in cars today. And that gives you a fundamentally different performance feel to the car. Just like I was saying earlier, little examples, we can take out these screws here, and now you can make it torsionally softer, so you can get more flexibility in the car to generate some performance enhancement. It could be grip, it could be something else. You couldn't do that with the original car, as an example. I tend to run the original 10 millimeter shocks, but the kit comes in such a way that you can actually lower the towers and put big bores on it. Big bores are historically shorter than your traditional shocks. So the kit allows you to do that. That's something that we wanted to do. And then we've done all kinds of stuff. As you can see, fan mounts we just came out with this really cool little guard with a fan mount kind of embedded in it to kind of cool the motor, because there's no ventilation going back there. And so forth. So this is just a simple example of our XXT Squared. I just ran this at ONS, so it has that. I ran it in white, so you can see the nice red Florida play. that doesn't come out. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. So yeah, and like I said, made in the U.S. We just, again, Dan and I are pretty proud of the U.S. Made in USA, and we all know that we celebrated the 250th anniversary this past July 4th, just whatever it is, 20 days ago. And so we released a very small batch of what we call the Liberty Edition of the XX Squared, which, for us, it was special. I think they did sell out, but we did a really neat, a little bit over the top engraving on that chassis. As you can tell, there's a lot of detail there. And we just thought it was our way to kind of just thank everything that we do and how fortunate we are. So, you can see the years there. It's a unique engraving and so forth. It comes with a patriotic skin. So it's a U.S. flag. It's actually really, really slick. And then a lot of our motor guards, so here you have an M. Here you have the 250 logo. Back here you have the 250 logo. I got super cheesy. So on the sides of these, instead of our logo, it has the Liberty Bell. So, we had a lot of fun with it. We really just felt like it was something that was the right thing for us to do. And this chassis just arrived today. Dan sent them to me today. He's out of Michigan. And so my busyness starts tomorrow and starting shipping these little bad boys. One of one which went to Australia. So that was I wasn't expecting that. So that was kind of neat.
So you made a whole kit with all those different parts, or those are just
it's not hop up. So it really is what we call it's a conversion kit. So you both run a scale. So the way to think about it is you have a donor car. And the reason is again, we were trying to strike that balance of price. We talked a little bit about that earlier in the context of tires, but also a lot of people had these double X's in their closet or their basement that they just couldn't run or couldn't get parts for. And we really wanted it to be as close as possible to the original car. So in the example of an 8 scale, since I have both of you, think about it as the front and the rear clips of the car. That's kind of what you need to build a XX Squared, right? So in very simplistic terms. So if you look at my car, right, the front end, right, is from the XXT. The rear end, except for the guard, those are upgrades that we do, but it is from a XXT. So you need gearbox.
You essentially did a lot of dirt oval companies like Ghost do the same thing. It's here's your carbon, go grab a B64 and build your kit.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's undoubtedly a fair comparison, but so our car certainly comes with all that, but it comes with not only the carbon, it comes with some of the suspension components. There's more to it than just the carbon. Of course, all of our arrangement, all of the screw, a lot of stuff come with it. The gearbox and the drivetrain are the one thing that you have to get.
Standard screws.
Is that?
Yeah, we purposely wanted to use 440s, right? So we definitely, and it comes with it. A lot of this plastic, because it was a combination of new plastic and old plastic, my fear was that somebody had them already done for 440, even though the 3mm would fit in there, you're dealing with a much more coarser thread, then it would eventually not last. So we purposely stayed true to for that reason, we stayed true to the 440.
Yeah. So how available is a XXT now? Like how what does it take to get into a chassis like yours? Or if I wanted to build that right there, like I would go on.
If you don't have an existing chassis, you have to hunt, right? And some people hunt for a whole truck, or some people just piece it, right? They'll get a gearbox here or the whatever here. I've seen both people do it. And of course, some people, like I said a second ago, that have one in their closet that they haven't. We're working with somebody who it was his original car when he was 9 years old. And that's kind of cool to allow him to run it again. Right. So it just, Depends, but some level of, if you don't have one, some level of procurement has to happen of that original piece. They certainly can be found. One of the drawbacks of once we launched it is that the price for them has gone up. People are, it is America, right? So people are trying to capitalize on that. But yeah, they certainly can be found.
Not that I'm trying to build one in case my wife is watching this later, but what do you think? What do you think what's your kit? What does your kit cost, and what's the average Facebook Marketplace? If there is such a thing as an average Facebook Marketplace,
there really isn't an average, but I'll be honest, I'll give you a range. So because people can go to our websites, right? So the buggy kit is $369.99 shipped, and the truck kit is $389.99 shipped. That's the kit that we sell, right? And that's everything from, we talked about all the things you need to make it into this car, body, wings, all that other stuff, right? That comes with. And then listen, if you go to a marketplace, I've seen them as low as $100, and if you go to eBay, I've seen them as much as $500.
Wow.
Right? It is that big of a spread. But yeah, it's hard for me to give you a blended average of what it.
And are you guys in the vintage racing? Are you running modern electronics, modern batteries, all that stuff?
Yeah, so that's where it's almost ubiquitous. The electronic packages, it is your standard 2S LiPo, right? I mean, that's standard in all the classes. The ESC, so long as it has a blinky mode, every class is blinky. Every class. Okay. So you run some 10 scale. So no turbo, no boost, right? Of course, servos, everything else is modern. Depending on the class, the turn of the motor would change. So your buggies are two-wheel drive buggies are traditionally, it's never one answer, 17.5. I would say 90%, except for like the associated race is 13.5. The trucks are mostly 13.5. The Vonats are 17.5. And then the four-wheel drive cars are anywhere between 13.5 and 10.5.
It's funny you talk about this. I saw a post on Facebook a few weeks ago, and I was going to ask you about it.
Yeah.
Do you think do you think we're now in a time where it's like people need to come together and come up with a national rule set for vintage? Has it become that big?
So I spend, I can tell you the amount of energy and time that I spend thinking about rules is enormous. I met with folks from Europe. I've met with folks from Australia. And in the US, you have easily 4, maybe 5 different rule sets.
I mean, I'm just me personally. I plan to go to Off-Road Nats in Adrenaline next year. I plan to hit Vintage Worlds next year. I would like to hit at least an ONS race or 2, and then if I can get entry, maybe Vegas. And I'm looking at 4 different rule sets.
Yeah, so there are fundamentally different rule sets, and I am, I just spoke on this on a cast with Lefty just a couple weeks ago. I really think, to answer your question, I think there is a very much rich conversation that has to happen, because I think it's not about having 4 rule sets and people should have their opinion. Sure, whatever, it's fine. But I think fundamentally, I think we as an industry have to think about what does that do for the consumer, right? So if I tell you, Chris, hey, I really want, since you don't grow up and you're almost like the perfect example. You don't grow up in vintage, but you're curious about it, or you would want to give it a try. So you have your capital that you have to put out to get that car in, right? And whatever you want to commit to learn it and whatever. But then you may go to one race and you go, okay, cool. I'm running two-wheel drive buggy. I got my 17.5. Then you go to another race and you go 13.5. You're like, that's an extra $100 that I just, for no good apparent reason, made you spend. Now, the promoter may say, well, I didn't tell Chris to go buy a new motor. He can run 17.5. But what I told in the example that I told Lefty, tell me how many 250 cc motorcycles race against the 450s. 0, because you're in a 450 class. You're going to have a 450 motor, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, we have done that to ourselves. So I think, in my opinion, I'm a technical guy. I think that I would look at the fundamental principles of time and where innovation occur to create snapshots in time. And then if we can't agree to all, which we won't, this is America, okay, what are the 8 things that we can agree upon? And then we draw a line there. So when you go to a race, at least those 8 things are consistent everywhere. And then everybody else can put a little bit of their own secret sauce to it, right?
Yeah.
That makes it easier for you to embrace that. So I think that that's what's needed. So, so for example, pre-92, I think Tiny talked about the RC10T is a 3-gear tranny. Like in the 90s, if you had a GoPro, you had a 6-gear tranny car. A 6-gear tranny car should not compete against a 3-gear tranny track. There's just so much drag in the system that could be an example of a purpose, technically driven discussion of a line that you can draw in the sand, as an example. It's a lot easier ones, 4-wheel drive versus 2-wheel drive. That one should be super easy. Truck, super easy. But that's an example of one that is fundamentally different, right? And then you can create another. So in my mind, you would have, and I have pitched this to some, you kind of would have kind of that 1990 or before, which is most of the 6-gear tranny cars. So you have a 6-gear tranny bundle, right? That they're racing against each other. And then you draw a line somewhere around 96 or 97. That's where Associated had their B3 composite chassis, Losi had their XX, and so forth, and some dabblings of Schumacher, and that creates that's another bin. And then the third one is anything with a rear motor. So you really only have 3 bins to deal with instead of 8 or 7, right? And then if you have a 6-gear tranny, really hard to find. The transmissions are not that tough. Maybe that's your 21.5 class, and this is 17.5, right? And then I don't want to debate. I don't think we should debate, are big bores allowed? Are big bores not allowed? At the end of the day, big bores you can go buy. You can choose to put big bores. I choose to race with no big bores. Am I fortunate enough to be able to afford big bores? Yes. So, but I don't think I need them. But I'm not going to, if I lose a race, to you, Chris, I'm not going to say, oh, it's because he has big bores. No. You know what I mean? So I think that that's more of a choice that the racer can make, right? As an example. So I think if we get around the room and kind of can thumb wrestle around these things, I just don't want you to have to carry 3 motors for the same class and then have to remember that for this one, you need that one. I cost you more, then you're going to forget. Then if you left your motor home, then you got to buy another one at the hobby store. It's just a really unhealthy way to manage this movement, and I think it needs to change.
Yeah. If it's gonna expand, I think that's essential. Like if you only want to have the diehards, then
And then we're just racing each other, right?
Yeah. So
I thought about getting into vintage like last year, and then when I was like looking into it, it was like, okay, if I want to buy an RC10, then that's $430 or $400, and then I need this assortment of upgrades, and that's another $400 or $500, and then that's still new electronics. And I'm like, I don't want to do this. Now with the release with the RC10 factory team and the RC10 4-wheel drive factory team, I'm like, I want it. That way, it's just done.
Sure.
That way, I don't have to source, But I will say the way you describe about the vintage, I came up on monster trucks. That's how I got my introduction into RC. That's where I started racing, was side-by-side monster truck racing. Similar to what they did at ONS. They did the Reactor Series.
Yep.
But I ran, Clodbusters, LMTs, SMTs, Freestyle RC chassis. But monster truck is it kind of reminds me of how vintage is now. I'd buy, I'm pulling the axles off of, an SMT or an LMT. I'm getting a chassis from Crawford, or I'm getting a chassis from ZRP, and you're building your truck based off just what you can find. And that seems like what they did a lot with the vintage stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I had an LMT monster truck that ran buggy shocks just because they were better.
Yeah, and I just think that part of that curiosity and that requirement and so forth is part of what racing used to be, right? I mean, I think that that's just part of it. I think that the modern racer is so accustomed, and I love these cars, right? This is my 22X4 2.0. You could just go to the track and just run it, and it's going to be awesome, and it's and it's going to do anything. But on these guys, if you're trying to fit the caster block from back there, you may have to bust out your Dremel, right? or you may have to do something, and that's just how it was. And I think that's maybe it's a little bit old school. I mean, I think that's just part of that chapter story, and that's just what we did. And I think it's kind of cool to relive it, to be honest with you. It's a pain, but it's kind of cool. So, yeah, it's just different. And I think we're seeing ONS showed, pretty good success in bringing in some of the younger. Now, some people were living it through their dad, or, that they did it and now their kids are doing it. But we saw some younger folks out there that really had no connective tissue to what these cars were, and they're having a blast. Hunter King from TLR was one that teammate of mine. He wanted to build one. He built a double X square. He didn't outrun it till first qualifier, and he qualified fourth in the grid. So, there's an example of somebody who is just a natural, talented driver. And what was cool is he had no idea what to expect, and he was just, smiling ear to ear the whole time, because these cars are fun to drive. I mean, they're all fun to drive, but they're it's just a different experience.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's cool. I didn't realize. I knew, from early conversations that you were doing, you said it's 3Z. What was your
Z3D?
Z3D. Yeah. So I remember that, and I didn't realize, how far the modern vintage stuff had gone. And
yeah, and I got to show you. I mean, eventually, one of these days, for the 8-scale stuff on Z3D, I came up with this really cool wheel sander. There's all kinds of stuff that it's pretty sad. But when I sit there in front of the computer and get bored, I just, little LEDs pop up, and it's fun.
Oh, I know that problem.
Yeah.
I have more projects than I have days left on Earth.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not even done coming up with new stuff. So
yeah, absolutely. No, it's a lot of fun, and it's been a fun year. We'll see what it entails.
Well, that's cool. Yeah, I'm excited to see the changes, and I don't know that I have any more room in the stable for new cars, but I still have sprint cars that have never had wheels mounted to them. And I have a 2-wheel drive S-Works that is now 1 generation old, because they just came out with a 14, and I still have a 13, and it's still in the box, never built. So I went all in on 10 scale kits, and then I built my carpet car, and I don't even know if I think I built my 4-wheel drive dirt car. I may have 2 kits in the box. I don't know. Don't tell my wife. Luckily she doesn't watch the podcast. But yeah, the container has a boneyard of brand new.
You sell half of that stuff and you get yourself a vintage car and call it a day. Because that will not get outdated.
Yeah, I don't sell. There's 2 things I don't rarely sell: is RC cars and guns. That's or guitars. So or about any of my hobbies. So
yeah,
I still have 3.
You always have a lot of everything. So I don't think you're a seller. I think you're a net buyer.
Yeah. Yes.
Net buyer.
I have 4 BMW race cars that are spread around my property, and dirt bikes. Yeah. I'm a collector. The term is collector.
Collector. I like that.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Hey, I keep buying those stupid NASCARs. I'm up to 3.
They're pretty cool. Somebody asked me to make something for it the other day. I made an adapter so you can actually chuck the 10 millimeter hex of a NASCAR car, so you can actually true the tires or glue the sidewall. So that's something that people call me with these random.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Actually, because I have 3. One of them I was able, because where I race asphalt on, it's all road course. That's the best way to watch NASCARs, on a road course. You can't change my mind.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, we're able to do some modifications. We can put it on our own radio. We can change the ESC, and we can put the turnbuckles on and stuff. So yeah, I got that car all done up, and then I got 2 box stock ones. That way I can go anywhere, I can race it. But I did speaking of 3D printing, I have one of the stock radios. I was like, I cannot use this stupid wheel. I had a green R Design aluminum wheel sitting around. I actually sat there and it took me like, I don't know, 2 minutes to draw up. I made a little adapter so I can put my R Design wheel on the radio.
There you go. I like it. No, it's
Yeah,
great.
I did get a box stock Losi Sprint. I'm a sucker for sprint cars. I grew up in Oklahoma, and we went to the circle track on Friday nights. My dad used to work. My dad was a firefighter, and he worked for a company that provided all of the fire extinguishers for the circle track. And so we would go, and anybody that came in with my dad in his vehicle with we got in for free. So we would have, you know, a bunch of teenagers and, you know, kids getting in, and we actually got to watch from the infield. So
Oh wow!
So I grew up watching modifieds and, you know, all kinds of, you know, outlaws and all kinds of stuff. So
yeah, those
I'm
low
a
speed
sucker
sprint
for
cars are really realistic looking. They did a good job.
Mhm.
I don't
Oh,
know
yeah.
if you knew that Mimi has oval racing once a month, I think is what it is.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, no, I bought it total impulse buy. LCRC has built their oval track back this year, and they didn't have it last year, and so this year they built it back, and they do what's called a Friday night quickies, and it's 15 minutes of open practice, and then it's a 50 lap race, and it's box stock. All you can do is change your radio, and you have to run the factory tires, and you can sauce the tires. So I bought the car, charged the battery. I had to change pulled the connector off and put 5mm bullets on so I could run my short course batteries, and then tighten the lug nuts and sauce my tires. And 30 minutes after I bought it, I was racing, and
Cool.
it was crazy fun. I was like, oh, this is going to be so boring, and I was like, this is really not boring at all. So yeah,
That's cool.
I wish I could say that the NASCAR is not that way. I mean, I did when I bought my first one. I went to a parking lot race at Hobbytown. I walked in, I bought the car, I raced it that day. But once I got it home, they get a full tear down, I break in the motor, break in the drivetrain. It is so to get to for box stock racing. There is so much work involved to make that NASCAR competitive.
and maybe there is with the sprint car. I wasn't, you know, expecting.
Well, the big difference, I mean, the sprint car being brushless is, you know, makes a huge difference. So you're not breaking in a motor. But I did when I had I had one of those sprint cars, and I did do. It was box stock. I didn't make any, but I did, like, because I raced on carpet and very, very high bite clay in Prince George. It was Cleveland's place up in Prince George. That track, that outdoor clay track has more grip than most of these indoor clay tracks. Like Thunder Alley's oval is pretty good, but yeah, his is, and it's got a really nice bank. And so I took my sprint car, set it for carpet on that track, and it just ate. It was so good.
That's
but
awesome.
I didn't add any parts, didn't take off any parts. Like I moved some stuff around because you got I think like the front shocks have 3-hole pistons, and the back shocks have 2 holes. So I put the 3 holes on one side and the 2 holes on one side, and you know, a couple different little things. Added some limiters, some, you know, fuel tubing inside just to bring the ride height down for that super high grip. But that thing, I had so much fun with that car, but I kind of got out of oval. So
Gotcha. Yeah, it's fun. It's all fun, right? As long as you're having a good time, that's really the name of the game.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, I think.
Well, I was going to say we're getting a little. We're heading into lefty territory, into the multiple.
I know, right?
We usually try to.
Keep sorry,
No. It's all good.
We can definitely run into a lot of different things, right? So that's just part of it.
Yeah, I have ADHD, so I can't do multiple hours.
So. Before we head into closing, I did look it up. 2003 Cavalieri won 4-wheel.
Okay, all right.
And it was Billy.
PJ
What you said, Billy Easton.
Yeah.
Was 2-wheel.
Yep.
Yeah.
So speaking of which, I have to share. when you started mentioning names. Let's see.
Yeah.
I will show to go to, where is it?
I need a button that plays the Jeopardy music.
Jeopardy theme song. Well, I'm trying to find. Oh, here we go. So there's
Yeah.
this is from Wicked.
Oh wow, that's this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that's
saw that
funny.
he won. I think he struggled he ran another class. Billy, it was good to see him out there. I was watching it from afar, but he ran another class, and I think it didn't. There he is. Yeah,
Yeah,
But I want to say that he either didn't qualify or didn't qualify well, because I'm pretty sure he was in the D main and bumped all the way to the A main.
Yeah, no, Billy.
Oh, wow.
I mean, there's always what I tell people. There's those natural talents, right? I was mentioning
Yeah.
Hunter as an example. This kid had never driven a rear wheel car, and as much as I like to say it was our car, yes, it was our car, but he's just a wheel, and he did well, right? So, I think that there's those people that can afford to just show up, and they're going to be in some level of contention, right? And Billy's certainly one of them. So,
Yeah. So that's Hunter King, right? Does he?
yeah, he did not go to Wicked Weekend.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say I see him at a lot
Really?
of these races.
No,
Hunter-
Hunter, he's gone before. I mean, he just did a public post. He got a
he's
new
more
job.
10 scale than 8 scale.
Well, he got a new
Also.
job, so the new employer, he's got to, you got to get settled in and all that other stuff. But he'll race here and there for sure.
Yeah. I was gonna say I think that's the same. I know there's a TLR guy. I'm trying to remember if it's the same guy. Does he have a white pit trailer?
Hunter definitely has a white pit trailer. Yes.
Okay, with like a window in the
70%
side.
of them tiny white. I mean,
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure it's the same guy, because he has it's almost like it's got a big window in the side. It almost looks like he's selling hamburgers out of this. If it's the same guy I'm thinking of.
now
Scott,
that I
okay.
don't, I can
Yeah.
validate the white because I saw it in Florida.
I'm pretty sure he was at what's Brent's December race?
Fall Brawl?
Fall Brawl. Yeah, I think he was at Fall Brawl last year.
Maybe. I don't know. I am.
Maybe
Yeah.
the year. I don't think Hunter was there last year.
Maybe it was
there.
2 years ago.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Might
I
have been
think it
2
was
years
2 years ago. Yeah, but yeah, we didn't even get into Wicked a little bit. That track blew out like crazy.
It looked gnarly. It really
Gnarly.
did.
I
It
like
looked gnarly before qualifying started, right? I mean, you knew it was only going to get worse.
Mm-hmm.
the guy who built the track. He posted pictures earlier today of what he came back to, and that was pretty crazy.
Yeah, well, Bobby, I think, built the track, but I saw the pictures you posted were from Sean.
Yeah, Sean. I saw Sean Harding putting down
Yeah.
some of the pipes, but I think
Yeah, Bobby laid the track out. I'm pretty sure that's Bobby's track.
I mean the layout was
I think
cool.
he
It had a
does
good flow to it, but a lot of those, that's part of the character of the race. But those were pretty gnarly ruts.
The Wicked track last year fell apart too.
I guess
must be something with that dirt.
Let's be honest.
see-
you can't have the name Wicked if the track is not going to get wicked, right?
This is
Well,
true.
I was there 2 years ago. I was in 24, and I don't remember it coming apart. Now, it did not have much grip, and it wasn't as fast. They were complaining about it was a single file track. There wasn't a lot of passing opportunities. That's the one where Tater, I think it was the one Tater got somebody coming into the straightaway in the B main for the bump spot, and there was the big drama about
Oh yeah.
take somebody out. Yeah, that was Tater's last year with TLR, I think. Yeah,
Yeah.
and that was the big drama about did he take him out and didn't have to give it back, and he got the bump spot into the A. That was because there were no passing opportunities. It was like the last lap of the race, so he had to hang it out, and I think he went inside of him and drifted out and pushed him up into the pit lane and rocketed off the course or something. It was crazy. So
Yeah, it depends. Tater's young, but it just, a lot of people. I mean, depending on, I don't have this style, and that's not a complaint on the story you just shared is like, but a lot of people is like, hey, gloves are off on the last lap, right? I mean,
Right.
I still think that you have to make a clean pass. And I don't remember that big pass. I do remember that there was arguments because that's what made it to the internet, right?
Right.
So I didn't see it, so I don't have an opinion if it was clean or not.
There's
But I still
100,000
think-
videos of it out there. It's all
Yeah,
clipped.
I think you can definitely ratchet up your aggressiveness, like, you know what I mean? But I still think you want to make again, has nothing to do with that pass, but you still want to make a good pass.
It was very tent scale-esque where they were nose to tail for like 3 or 4 laps. And there was no room to get around, very, very tight track and very similar pace. And so it was like, you're not going to have a lot more options. He saw an opportunity to get a wheel in, and he got in, and then, probably hot coming into the corner and didn't have enough grip to stay inside, and just drifted out. So
Yeah.
but,
Or like the one that Fee did. What race was it over Joe Bornhorst, right? That one in the last lap. Again, pretty single lap that he jumped over him and E-Truggy.
was that DNC?
That was classic. Wherever you might be right. It was one of those.
Yeah, it was
right?
that had to have been 24 because I think Bornhorst retired in 25. So
This was this year. I think it was Silver State. One of the races this
not
year.
DNC. It was Silver State. It was Joe's last year at Silver State. I'm pretty sure where Fee jumped over him. I think
One of the races early this year. It might have been Silver State. It might have been. I don't remember which one it was, but last lap. You talk about last lap drama and Mayfield and Feelong. That
yeah. I
timer
remember
went
that
off.
one too.
Mayfield hit that corner and landed on top of Feelong and drove off for the win.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I remember there was. I mean, we've heard the interviews from Ryan, and there's, it's a different. There's money in the line, right? There's a lot of. There's a lot of other considerations that drive a mindset. But yeah, it's tough, right? It's racing.
I still remember the last Visions race when Mayfield and Canadian, what's his name?
Ty?
That's right.
Oh,
Ty, where they got like grill to grill, and that's internet RC gold. So that's such a bummer too that Visions doesn't run that race anymore. They still have the track. They turned that whole compound into like it's like an off-road resort.
Okay.
And you can go there and you can like you get a side by side and they'll let you.
Oh, is that the resort down in was it Texas, Oklahoma?
Oklahoma, yeah. That's where the Visions race is held. And they still have the track there. They advertise the RC track there.
I get ads for that place in my Facebook all the time. And I was like, I gotta check this place out. And then it's like $400, $500 a night. I'm like, nope.
Yeah. But I'm pretty sure you get a side by side with it or something. I didn't look into it.
The side by side racing, the RC track, everything there. It's all inclusive. Yeah. So it's probably worth the money.
Oklahoma. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna go to this Visions race, and then my family could come up and watch me race. And because it's a couple hours from where I grew up. And then that was the last year of the Visions race. So now I have to go to the Chili Bowl if I'm gonna go. Or Truck Nats down in Ada. Now that you're running gas truck again, are you going to run down there to Shaw's?
Where is it?
It's in Shaw. It's in southern Oklahoma. It's Truck Nationals. That's probably like, from what I can tell, for gas truck they have like, many mains.
Yeah. I mean, there was 35 of them at ONS 3.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
I'd love to do a little bit more just honest racing in general. I went to ONS 3, not having run it all since ONS 1. It's just a lot of pressures of time and with the modern vintage and managing the TLR team. It's just a lot of things little hats that I have to wear, right? So it's tough to get as much racing as I'd like to be, but we'll see. Hopefully I'm empty nesting in August. So I may be we'll see. We'll see what the boss upstairs decides I can do.
Nice. Let's see if I can find. I'm pretty sure it's Shaw's. See if I could see. Oh, here we go. Truck National. Oh, wow. Maybe they're not doing it anymore. Looks like 2024 was the last year they did it.
Okay. I hadn't heard about it.
Yeah. It's the oval track. Oh no, this must be the wrong track. I think I have the wrong track. I know it's called Shaw's, but yeah, it's in Ardmore, Oklahoma.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but I guess when I'm pulling it up, it's only showing the oval track. So.
Yeah, you got to just fly, and it's such a pain to fly with RC stuff. But yeah, I mean, people do it all the time. I flew to Florida for ONS, and I was fortunate to have folks that were driving, and they were able to take a lot of stuff. But man, it's just pain.
The only race I've flown for was Birds, and that was pretty easy to carry. It was an on-road race, 210 scale cars. So, and that one wasn't too bad, but I couldn't imagine trying to fly with a scale. Like, you're gonna have to like somehow you got to figure out how you're getting your nitro fuel to the track and how it'd just be a mess. I don't think I'd ever fly for an A scale race.
It's hard, and you have to have a friend who's driving, or if you're sponsored. I used to have just the fuel ship there, right? Whatever, right? So it's just, but it's a pain. It's just a lot of work.
Yeah,
it's a lot of work. For sure.
Here's a Truck Nationals in Puerto Rico. Make that trip.
I'll make that
trip. There's only 52 entries. It's not a massive event.
Let's be honest. If I'm going to Puerto Rico, which I think I was born there, the racing may be the second reason why I'm going.
Yeah. We cruised out of Puerto Rico, and we spent 2 or 3 days ahead of the cruise. And then 2 or 3 days after the cruise, so we got to spend some time in the beautiful area. So
good
really
beaches,
cool.
Good everything, good food.
Lots of good food, really good food.
Oh yeah.
We stayed downtown, commuted around on little bird scooters, and
nice.
So it was super cool. Yeah, I got hooked up on a fried pork belly.
Oh yeah,
I need to see your 6 foot something, but on a bird scooter.
Oh yeah, we were getting it.
What are you like 6'3", right?
6'2".
Yeah, you on a bird scooter?
Yeah.
That's
Is there pictures of this? I'm gonna need that in my inbox.
I doubt there's pictures because my wife would have had to take them, and she was hanging onto her scooter for dear life. So
that's awesome.
So
I like the Caribbean a lot.
We're cruisers. We've been a lot of places on cruise ships. So
yeah, it's awesome.
Yep. Well, we're definitely way over our normal. They're gonna start calling us lefty. Not a bad compliment, but we got to get him on the podcast. He was on last year.
Okay, yeah, he's a great guy.
Yeah. We talk all the time.
Yeah.
He's a good dude. Yeah, he called in. Actually, when I was at Wicked, the year I went to Wicked, I did the podcast from the RV, and he called in on the phone. He wasn't. He was in his place in the trailer, and so yeah.
So before we close, do you want to drop a plug for Modern Vintage? Where to find you? Where to find your stuff?
Yeah. No, I appreciate that, Chris. Just really quick. So, as I said, Modern Vintage is this JV between myself and Dan McDade from Dragon Punch. So you can actually get to mirror sites from the Dragon Punch RC site or from the Z3D RC site. So they're literally mirror sites. So, of course, from Dragon Punch, you can get Dragon Punch stuff. And then from our stuff, you can get our stuff. But from a Modern Vintage perspective, you can totally do that. So you can visit Z3Dparts.com and you can easily get to Modern Vintage, or you can do DragonPunchRC.com and you can definitely get to Modern Vintage. And of course, follow us on Facebook or YouTube, whatever. We're pretty communal. So we try to keep the community not only informed, but, we do little hey, what ideas do you have? What should we be working on? And several of those have come to see the light and come out as products. So we try to, listen to the people base and try to get out there as quickly as we can what we're doing. So yeah, so we're excited. Our next big event, we're going to have Dan's going to go to the Vegas race. We're going to have, stay tuned, some key folks that'll be running our car. I can't make it because I'm taking my son to college. And I'll be at Bonat at Adrenaline RC, the Vintage Nationals, which are at Adrenaline RC. So both in September.
And we're talking in 2 weeks. We're talking with Chris. He's going to be at Vegas, and he runs your car. Chris Atkinson.
Oh yeah. Chris is a great guy. He runs our car, and Chris is just an animal. I mean, that guy, what he travels and he does, it's just
Yep.
He gets a lot of help from +1, but it's crazy. And he's a great guy.
Probably the most recognizable face in RC.
It is hard to miss him.
I thought that was me. I thought that was the most recognizable.
All right, we're gonna give you second.
Okay, all right.
But no,
I'm the hardest to miss guy. We'll say that. And when somebody says, "Oh, Tiny, I didn't see you," I'm like, I do not believe you. I'm not falling for that.
So he's great, and he'll be there for sure at Vegas. And I believe he's trying to be at Bonats. They happen to be 1 weekend past each other, so that makes it hard. But yeah, Chris is a great guy.
Yep. Looking forward to it.
Sweet. Well, we greatly appreciate your time, and thank
you for having me.
Checking out the track. We hope to have you here. We'll get talking about doing some tent scale stuff here, and then
and I may dust off the A scale. I haven't run any A scale this calendar year, which is crazy to think about. It's just been kind of a bit of a blur year. So I definitely want to go out there and turn some laps. My A scale.
We got a couple of double headers coming up, and if nothing else, you have to come out in October for the championship weekend. Just ruin a bunch of people's day. Come out here and ruin some championships by racing the last of VCS and the last of of our Truth Motorsports point series. So hurt some feelings.
Well, I'll try to get out there. It's I definitely want to go see your place. You have an amazing facility. I mean, for people, this is not a paid plug. Anybody's asking me. I called up, of course, Tiny a few weeks ago. Gosh, I don't remember, maybe a few months ago now, right? And I visited, and I was blown away by what you've done, especially in your property. It's your home. So if you take away the house, that does not look like a backyard track. And nothing against backyard tracks. It is a legitimate, the driver's stand itself is a work of art, right?
Appreciate it.
And the track
I got some calluses from that driver's stand. It's even better now that we added some fans and speaker system, and we're gonna put some lights up, and
don't get divorced from this track, man. Don't get divorced from this track.
This is my wife's idea. She was the one who told me to put a track in the backyard. So I remind her that.
Yeah. Speaking of Chris, I opened my Facebook, and their first post, there he is.
Yeah. You should start the podcast with, if you go to his Facebook page and the one that is pinned, and he's sitting at World of RC with his XX square shirt on. That's the one you should start with. No, that's the Coyote. He's somewhere in there. Let's see where he's at. Keep going. There, that is the most recognizable face for sure.
Yep.
All right, he wins.
Next to Rona. That's old.
His drift car.
There he is. That's the one. See? That's the XX.
I think I made that shirt.
And that's why I said it, because you made that shirt.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right.
Nice.
Well, we greatly appreciate your time. Looking forward to hanging out more coming up. And
absolutely. Thank you for having me. Thank you both for what you're doing for, the hobby and just spreading the word and giving us a platform to share a little bit about what we're doing and your interest. So thank you.
For sure. We appreciate it. We will see you guys at the track.
Clean them out. Down and quiet.